First of all, I'd like to greet my Serbian hosts, our friends in Belgrade. It's always great to be here. And also someone who does so much to connect people and economies so that we can all make a difference and move things for the better, Mr. Tsomokos, the organizer of the famous Delphi Economic Forum, now doing this in the region, including in my country, in North Macedonia. I'll be brief and honest. I'm going to be there for the summit, the EU and the region, in 2 days in Slovenia, that currently holds the presidency over the Council of the European Union. The timing of the Council, I think, is quite important. It takes place at a time where the region is not in a very good spot when it comes to the credibility of the promise in Thessaloniki, a promise that was made 18 years ago, that the future of this region is European. And we have not seen much progress in the last years. We've talked about it at conferences, at panels, behind closed doors, but there is not enough progress. And last year, the region had the privilege to host the Commission's president, Ursula von der Leyen, who came to the region to reassure the people that to have faith, not to lose hope that this will happen. As she was in between the regional capitals, there was a big title. I think Reuters did it first, many others followed, and all the regional media had titles that the member states are no longer in consensus when it comes to this promise. And this was triggered by the inability of the 27 member states to stand behind the wording for the declaration that will be published on Wednesday in 2 days. Now, this is still not the case. The work is still ongoing. And as a matter of fact, this afternoon in Brussels, member states will again come back to this issue. The region really needs a bold political message. And in many ways, not only words, but the region needs to see action. Simonida, you mentioned you will turn 40. I recently turned 49. I was a youngster when my country signed the Association and Stabilization Agreement. It was 20 years ago. We became a candidate country 16 years ago. We've had a steady stream of positive recommendations by the Commission ready to start accession talks. The first one, 2009. In the year 2021, we are still talking about the start of the journey. And as you can imagine, this weakens the Europhiles and the pro-European, pro-reform governments in the region. So we have an issue, we need to face the issue, face the problem, and fix it. At the same time, we in the region, I think, should also show leadership, and we should make it almost as impossible as possible to take out all the excuses that may be used against the case of the region so that we move forward. This region is not bordering Europe. We are surrounded by member states. This region trades 3/4 of its total trade with the European Union. The 3/4 of the companies investing in the Western Balkans come from the member states. We are economically, geographically, historically, culturally, and security-wise. The so-called Balkan route of migration back in 2015 and 16 showed how integral this region is for the European I think that what will happen on Wednesday is, I think the member states will be able, with the risk of being proven wrong, but I think the mood is such that we're going to have a bold political message that will probably go beyond the messages from Sofia and Zagreb, the last two previous summits, where Europe said we reaffirm we unequivocally reaffirm the European perspective for the Western Balkans. I think there will be more tangible and concrete encouragements for the region. This summit is not a decision-making summit, but it's important because the way politics work is with words. It's important to leave a trace, a commitment, that then an action will follow. There will be discussions about the solidarity and what we can do together with the EU on the pandemic. The European Economic Investment Plan as well provided 9 billion euros in grants that will probably attract 20 billion euros in investment from the public and the private sector. So we are talking for 30 billion euros in the next 7 years. There will be a lot of discussion about the green agenda and the action plan to implement this commitment of the region to be in line, in sync with the rest of the continent on making our economies greener, more carbon neutral, and more efficient for the future. There will be a discussion, hopefully, progress made, an announcement to lower the roaming charges between the region and the member states of the European Union. We did that within the region. It's time really to make communication of the citizens of the Balkans and the citizens of the EU member states more affordable and cheaper. Ongoing efforts are being made with the major telecom providers on both sides of the spectrum. Many other agendas will be launched, including something that is critically important on innovation, on research, on youth and culture, to some extent addressing the education in the region and the problem of the brain drain. So I'm just highlighting some of the topics that will be there. I think our problem is that even the best possible wording in the declaration will not really suffice to fully restore the hopes and the dreams of the young people in the Balkans. It's really time to move forward. Serbia has been in this process for years, but no one really can say when this process will end. One member state raised the issue whether there should be a date, let's say a time frame. When do we complete Europe? Because of course the European Union is not complete with this region, and this region will never unite without the European narrative, without the European vision and future. That particular member state talked about 2030, 9 years from now. I personally don't really expect that there will be a time frame in this declaration for the known reasons. But I think if we cannot make accession work, then we need an alternative policy to make this region more European, because I think it's damaging that we have a policy that doesn't deliver. It's damaging for the region, and it hurts the leverage and the trust that the European Union has in this region. EU is by far the biggest donor for the Balkans, is by far the closest friend of this region. And this, I think, will be a summit where there will be an opportunity to make this point. both before the pandemic and in the midst of the pandemic, when we all fought to bring back our citizens, vaccination efforts. EU provided close to 2.9 million of vaccines so far for the Western Balkans. I promised I'm going to be short. Maybe I wasn't too short. I think this is the context, and I'll keep maybe my concluding remarks, hopefully on an optimistic note, to respond to some of your questions. Thank you, Simonina.